We're being recorded. Wonderful. Well, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good morning to you. My name is Annie McCann, and it's a pleasure to be back here on behalf of the Right Pen Collective as a collaborative partner to DatePalmTree Publishing as part of our virtual workshop series that we've been running in light of the short story competition that we are running with DatePalmTree Publishing. Today is the 24th of April, which means that the deadline is fast approaching for the short story competition for the 30th of April. But before we get started and we barrel into the session, I first of all want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we are streaming today. I am coming to you live from the land and waterways of the Baramatical people of the Daru country. I would like to express my respect to elders past, present, and emerging, and acknowledging that the land in which we are on is and always will be Aboriginal land, as sovereignty was never conceded. If you know the Aboriginal land that you are streaming from today, please put that into the chat. We'd love to know where you're from. Like the last workshop where we had Arawa Arja, the best-selling author of YA book, The F Team, we have a very special guest with us today whom I'm very privileged and excited to be sharing the virtual stage with. Please give it up for our lovely sister, Farah El Saket. I'm hoping I said your name correctly, Farah, with my Australian
Well
accent.
done. I was just going to say you pronounced the Yarmoud perfectly, so it was very good. Good job, Annie.
Thanking you so much. Farah is a wonderful author. She is the author of Doha and the Mystery of the Oak Tree. I believe I got that right too. And that is a series, and we'll get into that very shortly. Before we do get started, though, just a couple of things that we'd like to cover off, and that is, once again, I want to remind everyone that the short story competition is coming to a close on the 30th of April, and you do need to get to be considered as part of the winning categories. You do need to get your story into the portal by that date. Anything that's that comes in after that date, unfortunately, we cannot consider because that is the deadline, 30th of April. And when we say 30th of April, that's midnight 30 April Australian Eastern Standard Time. So depending on where you're coming from, as long as it's Australian Eastern Standard Time. I just want to bring Brother Mustafa in very quickly for a very quick chat. He is, as I said, the brains behind all of this. He is the representative from the DatePalmTree Publishing. Brother Mustafa, welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much again for this initiative. It is an absolute pleasure and privilege to be working alongside you with this. So thank you so much for connecting with us and having us on board. I wanted to bring you in because we had some news from Isra, and I was hoping you might be able to share a little bit of that with us, please.
Okay. So, sister, do we start with Muttaqin then, or?
Would you like to do the Quran recitation first?
Yes, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay, no problem. So, Brother Muttaqin, where are you? Let me spotlight you.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you now. Let me just hang on. Sorry, I'm just trying to get, here we go. I'm just going to try to add you to the spotlight. There we are. Okay, so what I might do is I might mute myself. We're going to do a quick Quran recitation first, inshallah, and then we'll go back to Brother Mustafa. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. Verily, those who believe in the oneness of Allah, Islamic monotheism, and do righteous deeds shall have the gardens of paradise for the entertainment, wherein they shall dwell forever. No desire will they have for removal therefrom. Say, O Muhammad, to mankind, if the sea were ink for writing the words of my Lord, surely the sea would be exhausted before the sea, like it for its aid. Say, O Muhammad, I am only a man like you. It has been revealed to me that your God is only Ilah, God, Allah, So whoever hopes for the meeting of his Lord, let him work righteousness and associate none as a partner in the worship of Lord. Done.
MashaAllah. Mutakin, what a beautiful recitation. Sadaqallahu Azim. That's amazing. Thank you very much for that, Mutakin. I don't think I could have done it better, seriously. Thank you. Okay, circling back to you, Brother Mustafa. What news did you have for us from Israel?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It's exciting news. And we are talking to one of the leading organizations in Australia, those who pioneer to inspire and bring together all the Muslim authors in Australia. So they might come on board and we might, get them with us to celebrate the prize giving ceremony. It's still on, that very primary stage is evolving, but I was so excited to share with everyone. And I feel up until now, this looked like the next step of our children when they, becoming a regular author and when they are independent author. To me, the next step is to Sydney Muslim Writers Festival. It's a wonderful platform. It's one of the, I feel, place where every Muslim author should, come together and help us, this community, to keep building. Yeah, so inshallah, we'll keep sharing on WhatsApp and the email list. I just wanted to summarize the total situation of the participation. Alhamdulillah, we got 170 plus participation from 11 different countries, and mostly from Australia, but we have participation from UK, US, Kenya, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and we started getting wonderful stories. So we eagerly waiting to book to get published and all those faces to see in the prize giving ceremony, either virtual or in or if we can make it with Isra, but we'll keep you in touch, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, thank you, Brother Mustafa, for sharing that. So the key takeaway from that, everyone, is that, not only the DatePalmTree Publishing initiative connected to the Right Pen Collective and ICANN and the Youth Network of Muslims Australia, we now have a collaboration with ISRA, inshallah, and that is huge news. I have to say it is huge, having ISRA's
Sister, one
connection.
more thing.
Yes,
we have
brother.
Sister Jahara with us from Isra as well. So
Zahra Khan?
Jahra Khan, yes.
All right, let me add you to the spotlight. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Zahra. How are you? Oh, hang on. I've got you on mute. My apologies. Asking you to. You're still on mute? There we go.
Walaikum
How are you?
I don't want to take away too much from your workshop today, but yeah, I'm so excited to join. And yeah, we are so excited to be a part of this initiative. And when we saw it, I just knew, subhanAllah, Brother Mustafa is going to do an amazing job with his organization and with uplifting all of you guys here. And I can't wait to see what you all have to write and read all the stories.
Me too, sister. I say each workshop I've done, this is the third one and our final one for the series so far. And I've said each time it ends on a cliffhanger because I just cannot wait to read what the stories have come through. And I've already read part of one that was written by an 8-year-old, and just the love that she had for her mother, you can feel that through her expression and the words. So you've got great things coming. So Sister Zahra, thank you to you and to Israel for your interest and your connectivity. And, Farah and myself, we are connected to Israel as well now, and we are just so excited that connection has extended to this as well. So thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much. And thank you for being here as well.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Okay, so I'm just going to get Sister Farah and myself spotlighted here as we get this going. So we do have some questions in the chat already, but I'm just going to keep monitoring the chat. One question that was asked already, thank you, Abir Hadia, was with regards to the stories that are being published. So as you would have seen on the story writing competition poster, DatePalmTree Publishing have made a commitment that with the stories collected, they will be curated into an anthology. Now, how many pages that's going to be, we don't know. It all depends on what's actually being collected as part of the series. So it's basically two parts. So you've got your short story competition, and there will be a top 3 category for each category. So there's 3 categories, and there'll be 3 for each winners. But then outside of that, including the winners, we'll be looking at curating the stories, inshallah. So we're going to try and capture everyone in the anthology, considering that the short stories are actually short, between 700 to 2,000 words each. So that should be okay. So it's basically watch this space in terms of how big this anthology is going to be. And of course, they'll be subject to editing, and we want to give the best version of the stories out to the world as well. Okay, let's see. What are we exactly doing in this workshop? Okay, so, well, very good question. Let's get started. So, Sister Farah, welcome to the virtual workshop series. Let's start with a very easy one. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. Before I begin, I'm just going to say the dua that
Yes.
Sayyidina Musa used to always say before he'd begin anything. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. All right, Bismillah. The question was a little bit about myself. Okay. I am a mother of 4, first and foremost. I am an education support worker, and I started my writing career, I think it was 2018, just before COVID hit. But I think it was more during COVID where I was more like I got that time to actually write. But there were incidents that had happened at my daughter's school prior to that, in regards to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and how he was looked at negatively, and how he was taught, the children were taught this by their grandparents or by their parents. And my daughter was like, how could they say these things about him and all that? So I'm like, how do I bring about, showing children how we are as Muslims? And we've been taught all this through Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So I thought the best way to go about it would be through a book. And then COVID came. And so it gave me more time to think about it and structure it all out. So I wanted it to be books that could be read by everyone. So just Muslims and non-Muslims, so that way they can relate to them, understand how we are, as Muslims, as Arab. And that's where it all began. The first steps took place then.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sorry that your daughter went through that. That's a horrible experience to have to go through at such a young age, because we're adults and we have gone through that ourselves. But you raise a very valid and interesting point in terms of representation and storytelling. And that's something I hold very close to my heart in terms of representation and positive spotlight on the Muslim community and the power of storytelling. And that's exactly, I guess, what motivated you to write your stories in how do we connect and bridge gaps in our community, rather than getting on a podium and speaking directly, because half the time people don't listen when we try and do that anyway. Yeah. So the power of storytelling, telling, I should say, is amazing, and it does turn a lot of heads, definitely. So you've got some visual aids that you've graciously sent to us. So I'm going to share screen, but don't worry, we will get this PDF sent out to everyone's parents by email and WhatsApp. So just give me a moment. I'm going to share the screen. And this is to how to write a great story. So hopefully, inshallah, the tips and tricks that Sister Farah will be sharing with us today will equip you with your short story writing and any stories that you write in the future. All right.
Inshallah.
So Sister Farah, just let me know when you can see my screen and we'll take it from there.
Perfect. Yep, I can see.
Amazing. So how to write a great story, tips and tricks and everything in between. Farah, what do we do?
Okay. So the first step, I believe, is you have to read. The more you read, the more you're exposed to different types of writing, different types of, topics and all that sort of stuff. But there are moments where there are kids are like, oh, I don't like to read, So then why don't you just create your own story of what you would like to, find in a book? What sort of stories that are missing out there that you are not finding on the shelves? Were you a reader, Annie, when you were younger?
That's a good question. I get asked this a lot. When I was a kid, not really. I was that one kid that didn't like reading, but that was because I was forced to read things I didn't like. And that's essentially the problem we have, is when kids or even adults say they don't like reading, it's because they haven't read the right book. But I actually really got into the reading when I finished school. So
Yeah.
it was interesting because I got to choose what I wanted to read. And you're right, if you can't find what you want to read, write the story
That's
you
right.
want
Write
read.
your own
Yeah.
stories. That's right.
Yeah. Be the change you
So,
want to see.
so
Yeah.
don't let that, you know, deter you and think to yourself, oh, you know what, I hate reading now and I'm never going to become a reader. You probably just haven't found the right book, you know, the right things that interest you, so you can write your own. So my first point here is I've written, find a book that interests you and read it. If there is an audio as well, I find that audio also helps because you get to hear the way that they're reading, you know, their dialogue change. And I find that also helps with the imagination for the youngsters. Many don't like audio. Are you a fan of audio, Annie?
Yes and no. So I drive a lot. So no, I don't listen to audiobooks when I'm driving. And the reason for that, it's a safety issue because I tend to run away with my imagination when I'm reading a book. So I don't want to be running a red light while I'm trying to get to this climactic part of a book. But you know, when I do things around the house, audiobooks have come in very handy. And you're right, with the narration, it is actually very exciting. So I've actually tapped into a Harry Potter audiobook a while ago, and having Stephen Fry narrate to me with the expression in dialogue, and it just makes it more exciting as well. And it's, I guess, an additional way or additional platform to enjoy a story as well.
Yeah. Because I was actually thinking of doing my second book, Doha and the Unlikely Friendship, into an audio.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking of doing that. And I have reached out to, they were at the book fair, book fair, Two Birds, I think it was, Two Birds.
Yeah.
So I am looking into that to get it done in audio. So that I reckon that's a good way for children to, you know, learn how to, and also expand their vocabulary as well.
Yes, yes.
Another point that I've written here is to rewrite your favorite story with a different ending, or maybe your own. Yeah. So what if this was to happen at the end of a specific book that you had read? Change the protagonist, put her into a Muslim character. So for an example, I had thought of Matilda because my kids love Matilda.
Yes, that's a good
you
story.
know,
Roald Dahl.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's right. Change her, give her a Muslim name, you know, change her power into something else. A third is a parent or a friend can give you an idea. And as you write, as a writer, you have to come up with a short story of 500 words just to start you off with something. So maybe you can say, I don't know, you've woken up on an island and you only have, I don't know, what can you say? What can you have, Annie? You've woken up on an island
You woke up on an island and it was Ramadan, but you had to go and find your own dates.
That's right. You have to make your own iftar.
Yes.
What do you do? How do you do that? So that was that one.
Yes.
So if we move to the next slide.
I just have to say, just on the point of Matilda, I would love to read a story of a hijabi Matilda. I would totally buy that. That is awesome.
So cool, right? Yeah.
I would love that.
Recreate your favorite characters, because I'm very into you know, putting our names out there. So that's why I've chosen Duha in
Duha.
you know, it's not a common name. It's an Arab name, you know, so be proud of all those names. Don't shy away from them. Go, oh, it's going to be so hard to pronounce. No, they can pronounce other hard words. So I'm sure they can pronounce this one.
Yeah, we learn. And look, I'm Indonesian Australian and all my stories have Indonesian names. I am unapologetically an Indonesian writer in that regard. And look, as well as, you know, creating your own ending as well. One of my short stories just recently got picked up for publication that's coming out in July, inshallah. And that was capturing a legend in West Java and a volcano of Tangkuban.
Yeah, I read about that on your Instagram.
Yeah, and the story behind that is like the upturned boat, etc. I won't get into the story now, but I basically had that posed question like, well, what if the spirit of Sangkuriang was actually still alive and he held a grudge against anybody that showed love at Volcano? What would happen there? So that's a very good tip there, Sister Farah, is come up with the idea or start with what you know as a first layer and then maybe add a problem to it or a what if question, like what if, and then the ending would be different. Yeah, very good.
Right.
All right, next slide we have, let's begin our story.
Let's begin our story. So your ideas are bursting in your mind. So let's put it all down on paper. So the thing is with me, I tend to forget. So whenever I think of something, I'm like, should I writing it down? Even if I'm like asleep, I think, oh, this would make such a good story. So I'd get up and I'd write it down. And then you just go through your notes and you're like, oh, you know what? This goes well with this. And then it just it gets your ideas going. So once you write it down, like subhanAllah, like as soon as you jot things down, your ideas just keep flowing. But I tend to like to write. So not typing on the computer, but writing it down.
Mhm.
Do you feel that too, Annie? When
I'm
you write?
old school. Look, this is how old school I am, sister. I
Yeah.
have a notebook on my bedside table. I have a notebook in my drawer at work, and I have a notebook in my handbag. I never leave without a notebook because I do not trust my phone. For a fantastic idea,
Yeah.
knowing my luck, I would put it in my phone in notes, and then something would happen and I'd lose it. So it is old school, kids, but a notebook, pen and paper is your savior when it comes to
It
fantastic
really
ideas.
is. Because you can't trust technology. Because I did the same as you, and I put everything in my notes on my laptop, and then my laptop crashed.
There you go.
Couldn't get it back.
Yes.
And because of my memory, I can't even remember what I wrote.
I know.
So
Because your
write
brain
it
is
down
so
in a
filled.
notebook.
Yeah. Our brains are
That's
filled
right.
with everything else. That's right. Write it down. Fantastic. And
So,
yep. Who,
yeah, so
what, were? Yeah. So who, what, where?
where? So try to start your writing journey by writing it down on paper instead of typing it up on computer. We need the who is the character, what happens in the story, and where does it all take place. So the setting of your story.
Yep. So a very clear example to spill that out, just to go back to our island example. So who is the character? We've got a hijabi Matilda. What happens in the story? She wakes up on an island and it's Ramadan, but there's no date. She's got to find her date. So where does it all take place? A secluded island somewhere off the coast of the Caribbean, for example. Yeah. So there's an example for you. And you may run with that if you want to. That's not copyrighted, everyone.
No, of course you can.
All right, next slide. We have the 3 W's, which we did discuss, but let's elaborate, sis.
So the who, the what, and the where. So who is the protagonist or the hero of the story? This is the first person we usually meet in the story. What are their strengths or their weaknesses? They can be anyone or anything, from a watermelon to a super chef or an evil plant with teeth.
A watermelon. Can we unwrap that a little bit?
Watermelon. Yeah, we should represent watermelon. So I put watermelon in there for
Watermelons have rights too.
For the Palestinian voices.
100%.
But I've put, when I started with my character, I knew for sure I wanted it to, because I was looking at my children, so I was looking at my girls, so I wanted it to represent, their age, like a protagonist of their age. So her.
Sorry, did you just get muted? There we go. Yep, you're back.
And I wanted her to have a name, like I said to you before, that was, an Arab name. So I went with Duha, a 10-year-old, and I wanted it to be, so that's the who. I was going to jump to the where, but I'll leave that to when we get there. So the who is the Duha character. So what's going to happen to the protagonist? This is called the plot. The plot structure is the beginning, middle, and the end. The problem is what's slowly starting to show. Then you see the problem grow till it reaches its climax. So that's usually in the middle of the story. And then the protagonist works on their plan to solve the problem till the problem is solved or the hero has learned something new. So out of the story, it doesn't have to always be a lesson, but even just the character growing, even the character making new friends, or just even like a funny one. Do you think all books should have a lesson or a moral of the story, Annie?
Personally, it depends, I guess, on the theme of the story as well. And it goes back to that basic question, what you want your readers to get out of your book. Do you just want to entertain? Do you just want to have an adventure that features a Muslim character? Or do you have an underlying message? An example of that could be, for example, your character is in a mostly non-Muslim white school or something like that, and it starts off with Islamophobia, but by the end of it you may not have made new friends, but the message has come out loud and clear in terms of what the Muslim community is about. So along the line there has been a bit of a change as well. So I guess that goes back to the basic question, everyone, is what do you want your reader to know about your story? What do you want them to take away from it as well?
That's right. So with Duha and the mystery of the oak tree, it was for her not to be scared and be afraid of who she is. Because she's moved into an area where there aren't many Muslims, she's going to a new school. She's worried that the teachers might not be able to pronounce her name correctly. So it's just her. She's worried to be afraid to be herself, her identity as a Muslim Muslim girl. But then that all changes with her friends, meeting her friends, that she didn't think that would be so accepting, her teachers. Even the new house that they've moved into has got a story. I don't want to say too much. I want to like just in case no one's read it. Yeah, so even the house they've moved into has got a story of its own that blows her away. She could not believe that someone who she thought would know nothing about her culture or her faith yet knows so much. I'll leave it at that.
Yes. And if you want to know more, read the book. 100%. I'll put the title in the chat room after this as well, so everyone can find it. And I'll also put your Instagram handle too, sis. Okay, and the where.
And the where. So where will the scene or setting take place? You need to show this at the beginning of your writing, or the reader will just picture a blank nothingness. Doesn't mean start with an overload of information or what the scene looks like, but something simple at first. The reader knows where the character is, and then you just build up on it. A tip that also I've learned, because we need to do more showing than telling, which is something that I'm actually still trying to learn.
Me too.
Yeah. So we use our like 5 senses: the smell, sight, touch, hear, taste. So I started with like the sound, you know, beep, 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 the first character of Behind the Mystery of the Oak Tree, and they're moving. So they're at her house, and there's boxes everywhere. I've put it down. There are boxes everywhere, just clutter. Just how it feels like when a person is moving houses. So I've got that at the beginning, and I've just described not so much. That's the thing, because when you describe it, you're more telling than you are showing. So you need to like practice a lot on the showing, not telling. I still need to grasp. I need to grasp it a bit more. But it
takes practice.
It does take practice.
Yes.
But there are parts where I have done a bit of telling more than showing, and then there are others where you can actually feel it. So I'm not telling you, but it's growing in your mind as you're reading.
Yeah.
So that was at the beginning of the chapter.
Yep.
Then we go on to.
Did you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, the next slide.
So when you're stuck on ideas, which is, I think I discussed this once before about writer's block. One of my key lessons in writer's block means that your brain is overloaded. You walk away and then you come back to it. But here you've got some prompts that might be able to help you through a writer's block and to get your imagination juices going.
That's right. So if you're stuck on the who, the what, the where, usually most of you get stuck on the where. So like, I don't know where the scene should take place or where it should all be. Okay, so try these prompts to get your imagination flowing. Remember, just keep writing and don't read back and edit. With something that I also do, which I need to stop the habit of. When I write, I always go back and then I find myself editing and continuing, and I haven't really moved forward. So I suggest do not edit until you have completely finished. You just keep writing, and then edit towards the very end once you've finished your story.
Yes.
So the first prompt, remember how we did the whole wake up on an island? These are some prompts that you guys can that will help you just to get your ideas flowing. You wake up in a tree and there is a monkey staring at you. You can change the animal, and then you can change your location. What happens next? What do you do? Do you know what I mean? Just like it's just the first prompt. This is something for you to write. So I'm giving you this. Write something with that.
Yep.
Next one. Rewrite the ending of your favorite story or movie.
Yep.
Third, you're in charge of choosing your family's holiday vacation. Where are you going and what happens? You have the choice to make it turn into a mystery, something funny, or a dramatic story.
Very good.
These are all just prompts that if you're stuck, because I find myself, even though I've given you these prompts, but you might start off with this, but as you're writing, other ideas might come into your mind.
It's true.
So then you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, scrap that. I'm going to do this instead.
And that's exactly how you get your imagination flowing. And I can just imagine if I woke up in a tree and there's a monkey staring at me, the first thing I'd be doing is screaming my lungs out. So there's the next action in your story is I woke up in a tree.
It's become an action, yeah.
Two red eyes are staring at me and I realize it's a monkey and I think I lost a tonsil when I screamed. So there's an action for you. Yeah, no, these are fantastic. Fantastic. Moving on to the next slide. Keep on writing.
Okay, so my suggestions to help you on your writing. So these are just some things that I found helped me. Other authors might find something else. You can even, it could be different to yours, Annie, as well. If you've got any of your own, you can let me let me know. So
Yeah.
find your voice. You may begin writing in the same voice as your favorite author, and soon after you will start to develop your own voice. So depending on what sort of author you like to read or the types of books you like to read, you kind of mimic that kind of writing.
Yep.
So me, I love reading like Sophie Kinsella when I was, and then Mariana Keyes.
Yep.
All like humorous books. So I tend to write like more onto the funny side. Then I changed that. I wanted it to be more into like the Muslim representation, so Muslim characters, but more into the funny. So that's my next journey after I finish the Duha series, Annie, is to write something. Yeah. Something humorous.
Very exciting. Oh, I can't wait for that. I found the same thing happened with me, sister. Like when I was writing, I didn't realize that a middle grade / YA voice was really coming out in my writing. And that was indicative of all the books that I had read, because I read a lot of YA and a lot of MG. And like the reason I read that sort of genre is because I can see an opportunity there to reach out to a market that had not been, represented in the sense of Indonesian representation. So I read a lot of that. And just on that as well, in finding your voice, as Sister Farah mentioned earlier, to read a lot of books as well, because that will actually help you with your writing, language, ideas, and the like as well. Yes. Yep. Jotting down your ideas.
So jot down your ideas. You may be sitting down watching TV or reading a book or watching your siblings quarrel. An idea comes to mind. Write it down and then build on it.
I like that. Yes. So sibling fighting. I like that. Sibling
Like,
quarreling.
even if you're sitting down, like even when I'm at work and I'm sitting down and I'm just like fixating on like these ants just walking, carrying like a bit of crumb. And then stories start to develop in my mind. Like everything it can be a starter to a story. And then it just goes from there.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. I remember when I was writing my full-length middle grade novel, I saw a tree, like it was just sort of collapsed, and the tree loppers had to come and pick it up and the like. But that was an inspiration for a scene where there was like a tree that got set on fire in the backyard in one of the scenes. So you'd be surprised, the little things like what you saw, ants or tree branches. Yeah, it inspires a lot, definitely. Research, very important.
Research. This is where you also learn so many things and incorporate it into your writing. So for an example, if you wanted to find out the name of the most exotic bird, not only will you get pictures to help you write down more the showing, not telling, but it will also help you describe. So it will help, so it will help you more with the showing and not telling, because you've seen the actual picture there in front of you, you've read about it, and now you're able to put it into your own words to show the reader. So not only are you teaching the reader, but you're also teaching yourself. Like when I'm writing now with my third book, it takes place in Lebanon. I went to Lebanon when I was in year 2, so it was such a long time ago, and I can only just remember bits and pieces of it. So I do incorporate what I do remember, but then I need actual proper, like correct information. So I have to go back and I have to study that area in Lebanon where my mum is from and what it's most famous for, so I can incorporate that into my writing. So research is also very important. So you learn, and then you also, by putting it into your writing, the ones that are reading your story are also learning as well from that.
Definitely. Yeah. Make sure it also ensures that you get it right, especially most, like, just on that, sister, when there's a Muslim representation as well, and you want to reference Islam in any way, shape, or form through your story.
That's very, very important. Absolutely.
Very important to get that right, definitely. And look, I'm the same. Like, it'd been a while since I've been back to Indonesia, and all of my stories are set there. And I had to rely heavily on family initially, and I had to also do some research because, times change, things change, etc. But it wasn't until I actually went there in November and I saw things for myself, and I was like, okay, this was not at all what I expected, and it changed a lot of the story as well. So yes, research is very important. And for a small scale, of course, you've got books, you've got internet that you can use for your research as well. So fantastic tips there.
Even if like what you said, and even if you know someone that's gone to a certain country, if you can ask them. I've got a scene as well in book 3 where they're at the airport. And I don't even know how the airport is in Lebanon, how it looks like. So I had to ask my sister-in-law because she's been there, and I'm like, so how is it? Is it really loud? Is it like how it is here in Australia? So I had to just jot down all this information to make it correct information.
Consultation is very important. Yes.
Even though it is a work of fiction, but those elements of true. This is how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and readers will pick up on that. Readers are intelligent, highly intelligent, and they will see it. They will know if you've got it wrong.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
very
right.
true. Your final slide are your some more suggestions that you wanted to
More
share.
suggestions from you. So building on the character. So if you know who your character is and their name, what they're going to be, so get to know them. Okay, so if like to have for an example, let me build up on this character. So just maybe do a picture of her, of how she's going to look like, or he, or whatever your character may be. So get to know them. What do they look like? What do they what's their favorite thing to do? Do they have a weakness? Do they have a strength? Do they have a habit? And this will help you develop a character or the protagonist within your story, because these elements show throughout the story. So for an example, if she's got a habit, you can bring it out in the story, and that way it can bring a connection with the reader. And that's what makes the character, that's what makes the reader feel like, you know, have an attachment and actually like the character, if they can connect to them, if they can relate to some of the things that they do. So Duha in my book is very shy. So I know a lot of 10-year-olds that are shy, that are very similar to her. And then when she gets comfortable with her group of friends, she's actually very loud, which is like most, 10-year-olds, when they're shy at first and they around their comfortable crowd, and they get loud, and then you see their personality developing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And it's actually good when you're looking to build on a character. One thing that I know a lot of readers like is a flawed character, because
Yes.
it brings us back to the element that we are all human. So your character doesn't have to be a superhero. I mean, look, if you're going to write a superhero, fantastic, but even superheroes have flaws as well. There's a weakness attached. Superman, for example, the weakness is kryptonite, for example. So having that in the back of your mind, your character does not have to be perfect. In fact, your character who's not perfect does interest a reader. So that's actually very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reading and having fun. Very important.
Yep. So the representation. So just the next point.
Oh, sorry, I skipped
representation.
one. Yeah.
That's okay. This is the very, very important one, Annie. This is the
The most
representation.
important one.
Yeah,
Yes.
choose your characters' names, cultural habits, maybe even religious aspects like prayer and dua. So it's not going to be a book that's a religious book, but I implement prayer in my book. I implement dua in my book, even though it's a book for everyone. But I want others to understand that prayer is very important in a Muslim household, and every little step that we take, there is dua that we say. So, for an example, there's a scene in Duha in the Mystery of the Oak Tree, where her dad is sitting, because you know how sometimes we wake up for tahajjud. So her dad is praying outside underneath the oak tree, and Duha can see like a shadow outside, and she's scared. So then she wakes up her sister, and they go outside to go check it out, and they're constantly like, okay, bismillah, bismillah, you know. So all this sort of stuff is because that's what we would do. So implement that in your book, even though it's a book for everybody.
Yep. It's our way of life. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
And really, you expose that to others who are not familiar with it.
That's right.
And that envelops empathy as well, and understanding and tolerance. So let it be a book for everyone, but the main character is someone that represents a minority, and they can see themselves in. I find that very, very important, especially when we're reading it in classrooms. Like back when I was at school, I didn't have any books that represented me when I was in the classroom.
Same.
So if so if my kids were like, when they're getting a book that's read and there's a name like Duha, or there's a name like Siham or Aisha, they're like, oh my gosh, that's my name. Even like, how when we go to the shops and like they're on cups and stuff, you can never find cups that have your name.
Yes. Key rings, cups, you never see Muhammad on a key ring.
That's
true.
Right.
At least in this world. Yeah, it's so true. And little things I wanted to add as well, like in the book that I wrote, my middle grade full-length novel, I throw, Muslim representation in addition to Indonesian representation in that book. And little things like little subtle representations, like, for example, my character's Aisha. Aisha was in the tropical climate of Indonesia. She had to readjust her hijab and tuck in the stray stubborn hairs from her scarf. Little things like that tell a reader, oh, she's Muslim.
Yeah,
without so
right.
many words. Yeah, very important.
That's right. That's really good. Oh, good job, Annie. I like that. Yeah.
So remember that as well. Subtle representations do work as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
My next point here is read. So what we've been mentioning before, read lots of books to help you get ideas or pictures, or I also mentioned to listen to audios.
Yes.
And the most important thing is to have fun. So you need to enjoy what you do. If you're not writing because you love it, it won't create a story that would be what you had thought it would be. So you need to enjoy, it needs to be something that you would want to read, and just keep it going, and don't stop. So definitely have fun when you're writing.
That's the most important thing. And yes, the fact that we're all here, for one thing, means that we do love the writing, we do love the reading. That's actually very important. But yes, enjoy what you do. And remember, it's not a chore.
No.
This is something that you really
when
want.
it becomes a chore, it just becomes boring, and you don't put anything exciting in your writing. So definitely enjoy what you do. And if you just make, like, you can write about anything, make it unbelievable. Like, just let your imagination go wild.
100%, 100%. Oh, sister, that was an amazing presentation. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Like I said before, I will get this PDF sent out by email and in the chat as well. I'm just going to stop sharing screen and I'm going to check the chat room because I'm pretty sure we had some questions that had come through. So we want to make sure that everybody is heard. So just bear with me while I scroll up into the chat. Let's just have a look. Okay, let's have a look. We have more comments. Yes, so we had a question with regards to the theme and showing gratitude to mother. So yes, that is the theme for this anthology. And the presentation that Sister Farah had delivered should help you construct your story with regards to showing your gratitude to your mother. In my school, my teacher said stories do not always have to have a happy ending. Sister Farah, would you like to weigh in on that one?
They don't have to have a happy ending. The thing, I love happy endings though, because there's so much chaos and, not so happy endings in the world. So I just want, when you escape to a book, I would love it to be just a happy ending. But that's right, not all books have to have a happy ending. That's right. Or they have to have, there could be like a cliffhanger where, what could happen next, or what's going to happen next,
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, they don't have to always have a happy ending, no.
100%, thank you. We had a question, do you have any advice on the senses and how to apply them in writing? So you did mention that in your presentation, sis. Maybe can you give an example, because you started out with sound, maybe give an example of how we apply the senses, because that's actually a very good question.
So maybe if you close your eyes and you just focus on the sound surrounding you, because we want to be able to just, like, we want to do the whole showing and not telling thing. That's the thing that I might actually elaborate a bit more on the slides when we put it up onto how to do the sound, on how to do more showing than telling.
It takes practice. It does take practice.
Like, I need to sit down, I need to work on it. So with the touch, don't just say, oh, it felt slimy. Just say, like, the glue seeped, it seeped through my fingers. That, by you just saying it seeped through my fingers, is letting us know that it was slimy.
Exactly. Yeah. You're trying to put the reader where you are. You're trying to put the reader in your position. How would you describe what you're feeling, what you're hearing, what you're seing, things like that? Fantastic.
Yeah. Without saying, I could hear a loud bird. So what exactly did it sound like? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'll expand a bit more on those points before you put it up.
Fantastic. Thank you. We had a question about writer's block, which I think we answered and someone answered. So writer's block, just to elaborate, it's when you are writing your story, but you can't think of what to write next or what's happening next. You're stuck. It's happened to me. It's happened to everybody. Everybody who's a writer has gone through this. You don't know how to make the scene better, or you don't know where it's going to go from there. The reason why we have that is because there's too much happening in your brain at one time. Your brain is tired. It's under a lot of pressure. So you need to stop what you're doing and do something else that makes you happy. So you can go get a snack, you can go watch TV, go play outside, that sort of thing. Don't get on your phone, no gaming. No, I'm not endorsing that. But do something different that will refresh your mind. Maybe go salat. That's my go-to. Go do your prayer, whether it's your obligatory or your sunnah prayer. That helps calm you down, calm your brain, and then get back into it when you're ready with a fresher mind. That's how you overcome writer's block. And that's when your brain is blocked and you can't write anymore. Here's an interesting point, sis, in the chat. All my favorite authors are non-Muslims. That's actually very interesting because before now, a lot of my favorite authors were non-Muslim. And that's simply because we didn't have Muslim writers. And now the tide is finally changing, alhamdulillah. And I can say, when people ask me who my favorite authors are, I actually have a top 10 list of, maybe more now, of Muslim authors that I didn't have before. So that's fantastic. Oh, and just on that note, I'll actually be doing a video. Sorry, sis, go. You go.
I'm saying there are many. I'm going to also add that to the slide, because there are so many. I was at the library yesterday and we were doing some covering, and we have so many great chapter books by Muslim authors. So I'm going to actually write a few down, and just the genre that they cover. So I'll put that down by Muslim authors as well.
Amazing.
So they're growing, mashallah, which is fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah, I actually did a video leading up to Ramadan on my Instagram with just recommendations of Muslim authors. I'm actually going to do a video special for DatePalmTree Publishing as a resource to give you some recommendations of middle grade and YA authors. So I'll do that video for you very soon. Yes. We had a comment that they like to write when there's no set topic and they're free to write whatever they want. That's actually... That is interesting, yes, when you've got free reign. But I guess the good side is when you have a theme, your story is consistent, and all it has to do is really reference the theme. So, for example, not particularly this anthology, but there was another anthology that I read somewhere called The Midnight Hour. I think that's what it was called. And what it was is that you had to write a short story. It didn't matter what it was. It was up to you. You can write whatever you want, as long as you featured a book called The Midnight Hour. And it could have been something as easy as I entered the haunted house and it was staring at me right at the door, or I went to the library and it was the first thing I saw, and that's it. And you've covered the theme, you're done. So you can still write, even in this anthology, you can still write whatever you want, as long as it references your love and gratitude to your mother. So you mention it once or twice, and you can write a fiction story, mystery story, adventure story, funny story, as long as it features your mother as well. Fantastic. So how long would a book normally be? So that all depends on what is being written. So I guess because this is a short story project, I would say focus on the word count that has been listed on the poster, and that's based on your age. So we've got 3 categories. We'll make sure we share that poster again. 3 categories, and depending on what category you fit into would depend on how long your short story will be as well. There is a Muslim author's book called Huda and Me. Yes, Huda Hayek. She's a friend of ours. That's her book. And she's got a second book out now as well, which I've forgotten the name of. Sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you.
We covered that yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, you did. Fantastic. Fantastic. Awesome. Okay, so that was everything that was in the chat. Did we have anybody in the audience that wanted to ask a question? I will unmute you and spotlight you with Sister Farah. Now is your chance, so please don't be shy. If I can't see you, please raise your hand, and I'll oh, here we go. Isra would like to ask you a question. I'm just going to add Isra into the chat. Oh, hang on. I think I've lost Isra. No? Hang on, let me just... Oh, I don't know what's happened here. Yeah, sorry. Just trying to... Oh, here we go. There we go. Isra, can you hear us? Let me just ask you to unmute.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. What was your question?
I was just wondering, like, do you know the 5 senses and like implementing it into your writing? Do you have any tips on doing that?
I'm going to put that onto the slide. I'm going to have to look through a few. I've written them all down in my book. And I do have some points that I'm going to put down onto the slide. So they're going to send it through via email. So I will definitely share that with you onto how to showcase the 5 senses in your writing.
That seems to be a very, very hot topic today, is the 5 senses. I think everyone's learned something new, which I think is fantastic. We had a question with regards to publishing books we wrote by hand. I just want to double check the question. Did you mean that we can just simply publish the book that you've written by hand and we make photocopies, or does it have to be typed? Is the question that your story has to be typed up? I just want to double check if that's your question, because my understanding is yes, it does have to be typed, and it does need to be submitted to the portal. But for that one, I might just actually bring Brother Mustafa in on that one, because he is the organizer. Brother Mustafa, if you can hear me. I'll ask
Yes,
you to,
we would like
yeah,
to hear
I'm
it.
going to pin you. So we had a question about handwritten. Now, my understanding is that the stories do need to be typed because they are going into an anthology. But we also had a question about people drawing as well and graphic novels. So how should we best approach this?
Well, look, our aim is to encourage our children. Okay, so and if they come up with something, and we'll do our best. So I will put it like this: send it to us, and then inshallah we'll go from there.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
if we can print, we can always do online publishing, inshallah. So there are many options. So don't shy to send it us. And we have some mentors if we need to work with you to develop it or take it to the next level. We can do it, inshallah. So
Fantastic. Thank you. There you go. So if you've handwritten a story, I mean, obviously the preference is to type it, but if you do have a handwritten story, please, by all means, send it through because, yes, like Brother Mustafa said, we want to encourage everybody here who's interested in submitting a short story. So, yep, send us what you have and we'll go from there. Okay, so we've got about 5 minutes left of our workshop. Did we have any other questions from our virtual audience?
I have a quick
Oh.
question to Sister Farah. So
Yeah,
if
of course. I'm just going to bring
Sister,
you. Let me just spotlight
Alhamdulillah,
you.
I enjoyed this workshop, and I can see like how resourceful this is for our children to raise them as author. So I was thinking, if in future we have a plan to organize some virtual workshop in every school term to keep children in touch, keep them keep writing, and someone like you to hear from them and meet their question and inspire them. So would you be able to available in one of those future workshop, inshallah, to
Inshallah,
encourage our children?
definitely, inshallah, inshallah. I'm still on a learning progress myself, so I'm still going to uni and I'm still picking up all those little, tips and tricks on writing. But inshallah, I'll definitely love to share what I'm learning with our future writers. Inshallah, definitely.
Inshallah. Yeah. Look, I'm an emerging writer myself. My first novel's not even published yet. I've only got a few short stories out and I've done a lot of public speaking, but it's a learning curve for me. And each workshop I'm running, even though I'm hosting it, I'm actually taking something new away too. So it's a learning experience for everybody, which is
We learn off
fantastic.
each other as well. Like
We bounce off. Yes.
subhanallah, yeah.
100%. Thank you. Sister Zara, thank you very much for sending links through in the chat. So for the record, we've got an Instagram link for Sydney Muslim Writers Festival, and we also have a website for isra.org.au with regards to Sydney Muslim Writers Festival as well. So definitely get onto that. And they're also on Instagram too. And I just want to say, Sister Zahra, since you are in the room, I'm just actually bringing you in. Hello, there we are. I just want to say for the record that I'm really hoping that Sydney Muslim Writers Festival will actually become an annual event. I actually mentioned this when I spoke to Isra the other week for a different reason. And obviously it's dependent on funding, sponsors, venues and the like. So I just want to get it on record. If anyone is listening who can help Isra make a Sydney Muslim Writers Festival an annual event, please come forward and help us out because look, we have major conventions like Supernova, Comic-Con, Book Fair Australia, and the Sydney Writers Festival, all of which I've attended as a patron and MC, and they have them every year. Why can't the Muslim community have one every year too?
Inshallah, we'll definitely take that on. Yeah, we're in the works of talking about our next festival. We'll definitely take that on, but we want to engage the community, and so even if we don't get to have a festival every year, we definitely want to have small events, launches, workshops like this, work with organizations like this to just keep everyone engaged and to give everyone what they want and to actually keep the message going. So we definitely will have things going on in the next few months, inshallah. So keep an eye out.
Yeah, like here's an idea because like the Right Pen Collective is another network of Muslim writers, and we've had 2 events so far. We had virtual and in person, and so whilst it might not be this grand writers festival that I dream of every year, you can have little events. So for example, we may collaborate in Parramatta library 5, for example, and we might have like a panel or something as presented by Isra, or Isra may have it in, you know, the head office in Auburn or something, and we have like a panel of writers for a day, things like that. And then maybe the following year we have that big one over at Bankstown.
Yep.
So definitely let's keep this one going. No, I love it. Thank you so much, sister. Okay, so we've got a couple of more coming into the chat. So I can write and draw the book by hand, or do I type for the book to get published? So just, yeah, we did answer that earlier. So look, if you have handwritten a story that you really want us to see and you haven't been able to type it, Brother Mustafa has said, please just submit that to us. Reach out to us if you're struggling to submit that in the portal, because we want to take everything in, and then we'll try and do our best to help support that, definitely. Yes, we love the festival idea too. Thank you, Isra. That's selfish me. That's just me wanting it every year, because you always leave your fans wanting more. We had another question. Are you putting all the stories in an anthology? And if you are, can you give out copies? Yes. So that's something I probably forgot to mention. Thank you, Ajwad, for your question. What they're looking to do at DatePalmTree Publishing is to create the stories into an anthology, get the stories printed as a book, and we will be handing them to Muslim schools across New South Wales. Brother Mustafa, I'm going to get you to come back if I can find you. How many schools are we looking to give that to so far?
So I have started, so the idea goes like this. For example, for our first book, sorry, I will bring my video.
Oh, I just totally spotlighted you and I didn't tell you, sorry.
Yeah. So for our first book, inside our thoughts, we published like around 500 books, and we gradually started reaching, because we have a very small team at DatePalmTree. So we're reaching slowly to Muslim schools, but eventually we'll reach in Joshua. When our plan is, when this book come out, so we'll put two together, and we started making list of Islamic schools. So we have so far 50, and we have to work on it to keep it building. I feel like around 70 Muslim schools we have so far. So also this is the first step. Second step is our stories need to go to all the public schools as well, so other children know how our children thinks, and how our life and what Islam look like in everyday life. This is how these children will know a Muslim life, and so eventually it will grow, inshallah. And all happening, as you can see, Isra coming with us, Sister Farah, and as we grow, as our capacity grow, inshallah, we'll do our best, because this is something, it doesn't let us sleep. So our commitment is genuine. Inshallah, we'll keep pushing it. And my another big hope is you children is growing up, you know, and when you come on the boat, inshallah, we're just looking forward for those days that one day you run this workshop and we just sit back and we watch you, you know, take the lead of this organization and take it to the world. Okay.
100%. Yeah, because one day, hopefully not anytime soon, but one day our generation going to have to retire, and we have to pass the flame on to the next generation. 100%. No, that's true.
So last Sydney Muslim Festival, I was watching, you know, I was there, and one of my he's our webmaster, you know, web developer. He was saying me, brother, one day one of these, you know, author will, you know, sitting on the stage will say like, my journey started with the DatePalmTree, you know, when I was young, and my first publication through the DatePalmTree. So we're waiting for those days. So
I can't wait to see that. It all starts with that first step, Brother Mustafa. And these are steps that weren't available to people like Farah and myself growing up, you know, Muslim in Australia. We like Farah said, you know, there was no such thing as Eid Mubarak on a sign in a shop. There was no such thing as halal meats, you know, in supermarkets as we do now. And you wouldn't even dream of having a Muslim book on a shelf. The closest we got was a textbook that would have this much in it about what Islam was. So this is a very good thing that you're doing, Brother Mustafa. And, you know, you've got us along for the ride, and it's very, very exciting times. Inshallah. Thank you. So yes, so it will be going out to schools. We had a question if we could send it to AICS. I believe that might be one of the schools on your list.
So last year they hosted us for the book launch. Alhamdulillah, it was a very gorgeous book launch, and we hope this year, inshallah, we'll approach them too. And they're very helpful. So
And we definitely want to reach out to public schools. Obviously, we want to connect to the non-Muslim community, but we also have Muslim communities that do attend public schools as well. And we don't want to forget about them as well. We had a request if we can make sure an anthology sent to Amity College as well.
Yeah,
So you might want
inshallah.
to look, put that on there.
Yeah.
And can you also, we're getting requests. Can you also send it to Unity Grammar College as well? So
Inshallah.
inshallah, we'll make notes on that as well. And our final question was, what is a portal? A portal is basically a link on the website where you could submit your work. But if you struggle with that, there's an email address. Send us an email. We'll make sure we get your work some way. Oh, wow, we've got Mo. Can you please send it to Malik Fahad Islamic School as well? Brother Mustafa, please take notes.
Inshallah, yes. This is
loving the
exciting
enthusiasm.
part.
It is very exciting.
Yeah. When you go to your school library and you see a book that has your story on it, it would be a fantastic
I know.
inshallah.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I might not go to a Muslim school, but if I see my short story or something, even Sister Farah, when you see your books in a library, it's amazing. It's very special. Yes. Oh, we've got another request, Brother Mustafa. Can you also send it to Al-Amana College as well?
Inshallah.
So, inshallah, we're writing all these names down. Thank you so much. Well, look, conscious of time, we do have to leave it there, unfortunately. Sister Farah, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your time and efforts. Thank you so much for presenting with me. It was a pleasure and a privilege to be sharing the virtual stage with you again. Thank you.
I mean, always.
Yeah. No, it's our love. Yes, the sister bond. It's so good. Brother Mustafa, come back.
Anna,
yes.
And do you have any chance to share the book cover with the children?
Doha?
No, my mother. Do you have it handy?
The poster.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
hang on.
Not the poster, the book cover.
Book cover. Yeah, sorry. Let me see. Let me just see if I can share it, because I think I did have it on my laptop before, but I'm just going to see if I can share it on screen now. I forgot to. My apologies. Let me hang on. I'll unblur my background. There we go. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
There we go. That's the cover. So that's the design concept for my mother. There we go.
So the book will look like this, inshallah, when it gets published.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say, I don't know, just have a look at the screen. There we go.
Yeah.
Have a look at me, my mother. Yes, wonderful. Well, once again, thank you so much, Sister Farah and Brother Mustafa, for having us on board. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you all got something out of that. We will share the slides. Sister, what I might do before I send your PDF, did you want to add to the PDF or did you? Okay, I'll wait for your email.
And then I'll get you to share it.
Perfecto. For everyone for being here, thank you so much. That brings us to the end of our virtual writing workshop series in line with My Mother Anthology. I can't say too much now, but we do have another project that is happening after My Mother. So we'll make sure that everybody is up to date with that. But I'm actually really excited about that because it was my idea. I'm just going to take that. But no, I'm actually really excited because I tested this idea just in conversation with some nieces and nephews, and they were just so excited for this next project, and I cannot wait for it. So I've been requested to show the poster again. Sorry.
Cover again, I think.
Yeah, there we go. Can everyone see that?
Yeah. Do you want to write the very last paragraph, sister? It's not readable. So
I'll read that out. So the last paragraph is an expression of love and gratitude in a vibrant collection of short stories written from the hearts of Muslim children and youth. I think that was the tagline I sent you. Yeah, that's really cool. Yes. Very, very exciting. But I'll post that in the chat. If I'm allowed to post that, Brother Mustafa, I'll post that in the chat.
Go ahead.
I'll post it. Yeah, wonderful. Sorry if it's glitching, but we'll post that in the chat to make sure everybody can see what it looks like. So look, without further ado, I will have to close this workshop. Sister Farah, again, thank you so much. Brother Mustafa, thank you to our partners. We've got the Right Pen Collective. We've got now ISRA, and we also have ICANN, and we also have the Youth Muslim Network of Australia, who have come on board graciously, giving us their time to help us get this off the ground. Excuse me. And we will also make sure that everything is in the chat, and we'll get everybody the slides as well. And last but not least, your deadline is 30th of April to get your short stories in. So make sure you get them in soon. Don't miss out on your chance, inshallah. So yes, without further ado, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, everybody.